guys, and welcome back to the Chaotic Kitz channel, where I, Michelle, document my life here on YouTube as I try to become a full-time author, but also traverse the world's multiple personalities. If that sounds interesting to you, stick around. But today we're going to be talking about pen names, why I write in multiple pen names, how I separate my time to be able to work on all the pen names, and yeah, just all about pen names, why I use them and stuff like that. So if that sounds interesting, stick around, but let's get into it. Okay, so first of all, why do we use pen names? Okay, so this is going to be a little story, but we here at the Chaotic Kitz channel we go by the name Michelle, but we are actually a system. We have some sort of dissociative disorder, either DID, which is dissociative identity disorder, OSDD, which is other specified dissociative disorder. We're not entirely sure. There's a lot. We've never been officially diagnosed, mostly due to the fact that it's not within insurance to pay for it, and it would cost like over $10,000, and also like but we also have had like a working diagnosis of DID or dissociative identity disorder, but we never really pursued it. We got that at a mental hospital after we filled out a test, or like, I say test, but filled out a questionnaire. And they said that was a working diagnosis for us, but we never really pursued it. But we do a lot of therapy work where we do have alters switch out. Not necessarily switch out, but like, if we're going down a rabbit hole, if we're going down a memory that we don't want, like some people don't want to pursue, people will come out and be like, yeah, we're stopping this, end of story. And our therapists have seen the switches. We journal, we have switches, and it's just, when we journal, it's more like a communication between us. But yeah, so you guys can believe us or not if we're not a system or not. I don't really care. I don't personally care. We know what we are. Yeah. But so we write under 3 different pen names. We write under Grace, Shelly, and Maris. Those are alters within our system. They each are their own individuals. They have their own wants, needs, and desires, and they do things different for our body. I don't entirely know what each one, like, obviously they each do their own thing, representative in the scope of what they write, but we write to kind of escape from reality. Not necessarily because of anything traumatic, but like, I don't want to say when we're bored, it's just whenever we feel, it really is when we're bored, we're just like, okay, let's switch out, kind of, but it's not that easy. Like, I don't know, like, we have our set times, and it's like, when we sit at this computer, we switch out a lot. But also we switch out just because that's how it is. Like, I don't really entirely know if I'm making sense here, but like, we do write in multiple pen names strictly because there are multiple of us in here. We also have an idea to possibly write have a 4th pen name, but it be more for the whole system, if that makes sense. Kind of like doing a memoir. And I would almost say the author title of the author would probably be called Chaotic Kitz. Just because that's the name that we've made as a system, to represent ourselves. But yeah, so I kind of want to go down memory lane a little bit about how we kind of came to be the Chaotic Kitz and how we came to have these 3 pen names. Because back in 2019, we were originally an author. Like, we had just one pen name, and that was all we worked under, and that was MK Kitz. At that time, Michelle, which is the body's name and who was out in a lot and was hosting, Michelle, like, knew she heard voices, but she didn't realize how much MK Kitz and her were different. Just on different things that they believed in and stuff. Not necessarily believed in, but they're just the different opinions and stuff. And so we didn't really acknowledge the fact that MK was, well, I say this as I'm talking like I'm Michelle, or the past Michelle, but Michelle didn't realize, like, that there was multiple of us living in her until some events happened that was like, oh, like, people coming out. They didn't realize, like, Michelle didn't realize that she was not alone. She always knew she heard voices, but didn't tell people about it because they always would kind of push it under the rug or just look at us weird. And now, even with our multiple personalities, people still look at us weird, and it's just like, this is great. But yeah, so it originally started with MK. And after we discovered that we are, after Michelle discovered our system, people slowly started coming out of the woodwork almost. I don't want to say coming out of the woodwork, but like the inner space became brighter, so Michelle could see others besides just her and MK, if that makes sense. Some of them came out very abruptly, and it was like, yo, what's up kind of thing. Others were more subtle. But yeah, MK, but around that time, MK was kind of struggling because she knew she was more than just the one person, but she didn't know how Michelle would react to it. So there's a point we actually stopped writing for a while because we were like, I don't know how to work with Michelle almost. Like, this is also the time that our mom passed away because we were just going through a lot. But MK was like, I can't keep putting up this front of being one person. And that was also the time that our nephew asked us to write him a book series. So the Bugstopia book was first formed. And that is when Shelly split off from MK. And then as time went on, Grace and Maris also split off. And I would say, like, the concept, the alter named MK, I don't think is still around. I don't think. I've never done tally work. I never figured out where she's at or if she's here. Because we all have rooms in the head, so we can always look around to see whose door is there. I don't think I've ever seen it MK's, and I'm usually someone who knows a lot, but I'm also Michelle right now, so it's hard. I don't think I as Michelle have seen any doors that are black, like dark that I can't see kind of thing. I don't know if the other guy who's with me right now has, but he doesn't tell me things. But yeah, so what was I saying? MK split off into Shelly, Grace, and Maris. MK I don't think is around anymore. Though, like, the overall idea of MK is still around, like, the concept that we want to be a writer and, like, everybody wants to tell their own stories is kind of still there. Like, everybody will go to different altars will go to one of the pen names, which we call the altar, like, the authors that we work under the pen names. Everybody will kind of go to them and be like, hey, I've got this idea, what do you think of it, kind of thing, and, like, then the author will mold it over, being like, okay, can I just, like, not necessarily distract, but, like, how can I influence their story into what's going on in my story, kind of thing. Some of them are more okay with doing this than others. But also, like, I'm really discovering how the authors' rooms look, because they do have their own room, but their room is not they also have, like, a writing room attached to it, if that makes sense. I didn't realize this until Maris brought it up one day when we were journaling. But so Grace and Shelly have their own room where they can do whatever they want. They can watch their movies, they can watch their TV shows, because we have random TV, like, scenes always pop into our head whenever we randomly think. Or we'll hear music and stuff like that. Kind of more auditory hallucinations, I feel like. but yet I don't feel like it's hallucinations because they're my alters implementing the changes, if that makes sense. Or being like, yo, I want to, like, you're stressing out, I'm going to throw this wrench into the spanner, or spanner into the works. But yeah. And Maris brought this up because she doesn't really have a room. And she's like, how is it fair for everybody else? Like, how's it fair to have Grace and Shelly work on their books while I get a corner of the house while not being able to enter into the writing room? Which we're slowly working through. We're going to talk it with our therapist today. But yeah, so hold on, I need to watch the timer. Hold on, I will be right back. My timer's about to go off. Okay, I think we've done enough history diving into our alters and how things work, but to sum it up briefly, we're working through some things that have to deal with Maris, because she feels like she's not part of the author community, like our system's author community, mostly because she doesn't get to work on her books, and we are needing to work through that because another one of our alters, kind of acts as Michelle a lot of the time. But like, I don't know how to put this exactly, but like, the concept of Michelle differs between who's out and about. Like, the person there's the male right now who's presenting and talking to you guys, and then there's this female who's also working with the male to combine to make Michelle, if that makes sense. Or be the presenting Michelle here on this channel. But there is another person. I'm not going to give you guys my alters names besides Maris, Grace, and Shelly. You don't need to know them. I feel like that's too personal. Not going to happen. But so this other girl likes to play the part of Michelle a lot. And everyone kind of looks at her like the host, but like also like she's just kind of harsh. She's what a lot of them call like bratty bitch. Just how it is kind of thing. But so yeah, and then anyway, so Maris and this alter got into a fight, just being like, hey, I need my time, and the other one is like, I don't accept your wanting to change, and I don't know, it's a whole fight that we're trying to get through. So are we the best person to really talk about how to separate our works? Probably not, because Maris doesn't get to share in her time. But for Grace and Shelly, we have been trying to separate our time a little bit better. Mostly because Shelly has works out, so the Bugstopia books that are up there, she is trying to market those books and sell them because obviously we need to make money. Then Grace is working on her young adult novel and picture books, so then we're able to hopefully sell those to get money, and stuff like that. So it's just a work in progress. So those two have really kind of like, I don't want to say meshed together, but they've kind of worked a schedule out to work together, if that makes sense. Because let's take the month of February, for example. So for the first 2 weeks, we are wanting to focus on Grace's books, because Grace, we're doing a round of edits, and then we're sending that edits to our editor, like Act 2 edits to our editor, then we'll work on Act 3. But we're editing the whole story to make sure everything works together. And then Shelly knows that she doesn't necessarily get the time to write, but she is still getting time to market her books. She has the Author Shelly YouTube page. We're trying to get out and to do more school visits and stuff. But I don't want to say, it sounds weird to say Shelly has control, like Grace has control over our day, just because we're focusing more on her. But it's just, there's a balance. Like, it may look like Grace is more controlling, more in control. But Shelly is also steadily doing things, because we're still trying to post 2 videos a week on the Author Shelly page. We're trying to post maybe 3 videos a week on this channel. I think we're going to stop that until we are done with edits, because there's not much to talk about when you're doing edits and stuff. But yeah. So Maris and Shelly, Grace and Shelly have a pretty nice balance going on. But then there's Maris who's like, I get the short end of the stick because I don't get to come out and work on my books. And, we originally were like, oh, we're going to wait until we're 30 to work on her books, which she was fine with. But then we keep pushing it back to 40, then 45, and Maris has had enough of it. She's like, I don't want to have this wait until I'm 30 kind of deal anymore. I'm going to work my books. So what we've decided is we are going to still have Grace and Shelly be primary. Like, they're the ones who are going to be actively working, like, sitting at the computer writing and typing and stuff. While Maris gets to... So we're wanting to do a lot more walks recently. We're wanting to lose weight just because we realized we had a doctor's appointment yesterday because we're not feeling good, obviously. And we realized that we're almost 300 pounds, and it sets us off because we're like, A, we don't feel like we weigh 300 pounds, but also we're like, we really need to get this under control. Like, I'm not saying that weight, like, I don't know how to say this, but, like, we just don't feel confident in our body, if that makes sense. And, like, I know our weight has bothered us, and how we look bothers some of our alters, so we just need to get better at representing and doing things for everybody rather than just the bare minimum getting through life. So we're wanting to do that more. But yeah, so what our game plan is go on more walks, and for those walks, allow Maris to be on voice apps, talking about, like, this is what's going to happen in this, then play out the story how she wants. And, these, she still acknowledged that she might not get to write the stories for a while, but at least doing this will make it feel like she's working on it rather than just being in the corner of the house looking like a mad woman, as the one alter calls her. So it's working balance. And we're also working on getting her a room, and having it adjacent to the writing room. I don't know if this is making sense, but, like, it's just how it's going to happen. Well, it's not how it's going to happen, but, like, it's the way that we are going to help implement setting times for each of our alters to work on their books, setting time for everybody to work together, and really just being a system rather than a couple people dictating what's going to happen and stuff. Yeah. I hope this video made sense. If not, you guys got to learn a little bit about me. But I hope you guys all have a lovely day, and keep remembering to make fantasies come true, one story at a time. And I'll see you guys later, okay? Bye.